problem is there's perverse financial incentives in the industry. So people are incentivized to be first to market, not best. And people are incentivized to build things without really thinking through about what happens when that thing breaks, because they don't suffer the financial consequences. The retail investors do, the users do. And sometimes these consequences are in the tens, hundreds of millions, even in billions of dollars. And it feels like a moral hazard. And normally you solve that with insurance or regulation, you solve that with standards, but we're not quite there yet as an industry. So it's a bit of a gold rush, and that gold rush compels people to do things the wrong way. So one of the raison d'etres of Cardano has always been saying, well, let's have a philosophy behind how things ought to be done. It doesn't mean everything's perfect, and it doesn't mean everything that we construct is always going to be done right. But what it does mean is that on average, we get it right. Just like the aerospace industry, just like the rocket industry, just like medical software, because the consequences of getting it wrong, people die, billions of dollars are lost, these types of things. And nobody wants to be on the beach picking up rocket parts. Nobody wants to be dealing with an FAA investigation after a plane's crashed and 300 people have died. These are horrible events, and they're soul destroying, and they're usually once in a career, and you just don't want to be on the receiving side of that. But we have to have that same mentality when we talk about an operating system that one day could control your vote, an operating system that controls your identity. You think about a credit score. What if somebody could hack the credit scoring system and change your credit score from 800 to 400? What if they could do something like that? That'd be catastrophic. You'd never get a loan. You'd never get a credit card, these types of things. But that's literally where we're at. And so I think it's wrong to have that mentality. On the other hand, we're actually one of the fastest moving projects in the industry. When you take a look at it, we're #1 for GitHub commits. We release software all the time. We've done major updates at a scale of millions of people very quickly and seamlessly. We're able to do multiple hard forks per year. So we get accused of being slow, but when you actually look at the productivity in terms of writing a paper, deploying software, being able to bring things, it's pretty amazing. Ethereum had 3 years to build out a development ecosystem. We launched smart contracts in September. We're already in June going to have our first massive major update of that entire development experience based upon things we learned. There's already a DeFi alliance. I think there's 15 members of it. And as I mentioned, 230 dApps. It took a long time for Ethereum to get that kind of momentum, certainly not in the first year. And we're already there, and it's already growing, despite the fact that we're following a very rigorous model. That's how I got signed up in this industry. I mean, there's no reason to be in the cryptocurrency space if principles don't matter, because everything we do can be done in the legacy systems. The systems there don't have principles.
Yeah.
We could just print money out of thin air. They're hyper decentralized. They can shut people out at any time. Everybody's a Twitter fan until they get deplatformed. Everybody's a Facebook fan until they get the fake news Chiron on their post, and then suddenly their account gets suspended. These types of things. So you feel it when it impacts you, but at that point, it's too late if you're in a centralized system. So the starting point is principles. And when you look at things like cryptocurrencies, there are 3 that really matter. And if you don't achieve these 3 things, you've accomplished nothing. The foremost is decentralization. There's a lot of systems out there that have high throughput, and they do all these bells and whistles, but then when they stop working, some third party has to come in and kick it to turn it back on. I won't name names, but these things have happened, and it's because they don't give a shit about decentralization. They say, well, we'll add that on later on. Well, hang on a second here. If all the people that are building on your platform don't care about that, they'll stop you from decentralizing, because that's going to increase their operating costs and reduce their performance. And all they care about is being first to market and cheapest. Okay, so decentralization is a big deal, and you have to be committed at your core to it. And you have to build things that over time become more decentralized, not less.